One and all, just going to look at the COT data for this week. It did actually come out every Tuesday, so the data is fairly old, so there's a little bit of a caveat there. This is very high level data, and we're looking at banks and institutions. Unfortunately, we can't see their real-time positioning because we're not allowed. We can only see historical bank positioning, but this is how they were positioned last Tuesday, and so they were selling the euro. But however, you do note that they put their foot on the brake pedal. It wasn't free fall, and that's kind of just stopped, right? So it's kind of like it had a bit of support here. Whether or not we're going to see continuation, we don't really know for sure. But there's the Euro USD sell signal, and we look at the yen. Obviously, the yen's going to be important because we can see it develop on our spreadsheet, and it's moving a lot on the sentiment, on the retail sentiment. And no crossover on the euro yen. I thought we might have done, but there's no crossover. I think if they continued to buy the yen and sell the euro, we would have had a crossover, and then it would have been a decent sell signal from a COT view. However, no sell signal there, so that's fine. Take off euro, we'll put on Aussie, and see how we go. Aussie is in decline, and likewise with the yen, so it's we're negative. So really, because the Aussie is a risky currency, this is a little bit risk off. If they continue to short it, and then that's going to enforce the risk off theme, especially if they buy the yen, but they're selling the yen, so bit of a mixed picture there, because you'd think they'd be going in opposite ways, but they're following each other. It's correlating, which is a bit weird. Let's take off Aussie, we'll put on the pound. And see, they bought the pound. It might be to do with the PM. We potentially going to have we will have a new Prime Minister, but whether or not it's going to be good for the pound, it looks like the big specs are positioned for a rally in the pound, potentially. You can see how they bought it there, but we are negative, but however we're bucking the trend. This would be a pound yen buy signal, but remember this data is from last week, so there's a big caveat there, right? Lots of things have happened since last week, but that's how they're positioned. So they're looking for pound strength. Ideally, we'd want it above the zero line, really, in order to be like bullish the pound. But so this could just be a little, could be a little blip. We'll have to wait and see. See if we break that high. If we are, then we might come up. We've got that support as well. So interesting development. The pound has been quite strong recently, and CAD could be quite strong. Yeah, CAD's strong, and it joins the dollar. They're both in positive territory, and they've been bought. Okay, take off CAD. Look at gold. Gold's pretty much in free fall. However, you note that it doesn't necessarily correspond to the COT data, the price, because there are other things in motion as well, and this is old data, and also it does relate well to the retail sentiment as well. If 10 million retail traders get involved in this and they sell it, then the price is going to come up, like especially on the intraday, and so it's gonna it will disagree with the COT data if enough retail guys understand the COT data, and then they follow it, then the opposite will happen. So be careful. If they continue, we're going to go into zero, and we haven't seen that in years. I haven't seen that actually happen in well over 5 years. So we continue selling off. It's going to be quite bearish for the gold. Take gold off, and then we'll look at New Zealand dollar, and then we'll look at the Swiss franc. Sideways, we're pretty much within this range, aren't we? You can see we just chopped around up, they sold it, bought it, and we're still like trapped. Nothing really to be said there, and I think the same is going to be with the Swiss franc as well. I've got a feeling it's going to be doing the same. Yeah, we're definitely caught within a range on the Swiss franc, so we are positive, just about positive. So yeah, I suppose a little wrap up there is to watch gold. Be careful with the yen. They are shorting it, but however the data is old, and potentially we've got a buy signal on the pound yen, which wouldn't agree with our current setup in the QuasiTV service. So trade carefully, and I think the markets are still reeling from that GDP miss last week, because we were now into recession, despite them saying we're not. We're technically are in recession in the US, so be careful, and I'll wrap up now, and I'll be back tomorrow for the bulletin. Hopefully the bulletin's useful, and you know, you make use of it and stuff, and hopefully you know, understand how to make use of it. If you don't know, I can help you, and I'm always happy to help. So I'll speak to you guys soon. Have a good day, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.